And like I said, please go ahead. You should probably mute your microphone unless you have incredibly good music behind you. And um, and please type your questions into chat as questions come up. Hang on just 1 second and I'll get the slideshow going. Here we go. Okay, we're going to talk about navigating the system. So today we will talk about overview of key government benefits, purpose and use of special needs trusts, what the heck is a pooled special needs trust, what do we do here at JLA Trust, CalAble savings accounts, and how special needs trusts and CalAble can work together. Sorry about that. I silenced my phone. So we are trying to solve the problem of how can someone with disabilities who really needs government benefits be able to keep as many of those government benefits as possible and also be able to get money from a family inheritance or from a legal settlement. And so we will be discussing both first and third party special needs trust. And don't worry if you don't know what they are yet, we'll get into that. But our focus is mostly going to be on third party trusts. Those are the planning ahead trusts for parents and grandparents or other relatives or nice people to do to make sure that our children with disabilities have enough money to have a high quality of life. So government benefit programs, many of them have both asset limits, and sometimes you will see government programs, instead of calling them assets, they call them resources. So that's just government speak. But assets are generally things that you have for more than a month that you could easily convert into cash. So assets would be things like money in your checking account, money in your savings account, money in a 401k, money in a pension fund, stocks, bonds, Bitcoin, anything that could be easily turned into cash. And then income for government purposes refers to money that comes in on a monthly basis. And there's both earned money from working in some capacity and unearned money, passive money, like from rent or from child support or from alimony. All of those would be passive income. And government benefits are super important, but please keep in mind they're only designed to get people barely to the federal poverty level. And you can see the numbers here for 2026. And of course, no one in California could live, this is the annual amount. No one in California can live on $15,650 unless somebody is subsidizing or helping in some way. So even if you're able to get most government benefits, in order to have a high quality of life, it is necessary for families to try to supplement as best they can with private funds. So on the left-hand side of this chart, you see need-based benefits. So that's where the government is going to look at the income level. And for all the parents out there, and I'm a parent myself of a 31-year-old son with pretty severe disabilities, you have to keep in mind they're looking at the income level only at the adult child over the age of 18. They're not looking at parents' income once the child is over the age of 18. So we're looking at supplemental security income, known as SSI, and Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is California's Medicaid program. And I know this gets really confusing, all the different health insurance programs. So just a quick review. I think most people know about Medicare. Medicare is our national federal program, health insurance for people over the age of 65. But there are many younger people with disabilities who also qualify for Medicare. And then there is a federal health insurance program for poor and disabled people called Medicaid. And in California, we supplement the federal dollars, and California gives it a new name because we like to give things a new name, and we call it Medi-Cal. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see entitlement benefits. So these are benefits that people receive, and they could be pretty much millionaires, and they're still, or gazillionaires. Millionaire isn't what it used to be. You could have a lot of money and still qualify for SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. Generally, that's for people who have been working and get injured or disabled, and then they go on disability. And then there's also, of course, Medicare for most Americans over the age of 65. So I like to tell people our job is to try to get as many of these pieces of the puzzle as we can for our loved ones with special needs. So even if there's a lot of red tape and paperwork, I encourage you to try to apply for and keep your eligibility for all of these programs. Okay, there's a little known benefit called childhood disabled beneficiary. There's hearing somebody's background noise. If you could mute, that'd be great. Thank you. This is a federal program through Social Security Disability Insurance. And what this program is all about is if there's an adult child whose disability started when he or she was below the age of 22, and there's a parent who is retiring and is entitled to Social Security retirement, that disabled adult child can also receive a monthly cash grant based on the parent's work record. So this is a very confusing benefit. The child had to have been formally diagnosed by a medical professional before the age of 22. And then that adult child must be above the age of 18. And then the payment begins when the parent retires, becomes disabled, or dies. And so the disabled adult child will get 50% of the parent's Social Security while the parent is alive, and the parent keeps getting his or her 100%. And then after the parent sadly passes away, that adult disabled child will get 75% of the parent's Social Security retirement. You can only collect from one parent, and it doesn't matter if parents are divorced. So I'll give you a little example. Let's say John is the dad. John retires at age, let's say 70. John has a daughter named Mary. Please mute. Mary is, let's say 40. And John starts getting $1,200 a month in his Social Security retirement. Mary, who was diagnosed with autism at age 3 and is now 40, she's going to get $600 a month while John is alive. And then after John passes, Mary will receive $900 a month, based again on the dad, John's earning record. So when parents go to get their Social Security retirement, there's a little box. Do you have a disabled adult child? So you have to X the box. And then you do have to still fill out a lot of eligibility forms, and you still have to have a physician sign off on it. And even if that adult child's already getting SSI, when they transition to SSDI, you have to go through the whole eligibility process again. Very inefficient, a waste of taxpayer dollars, but there it is. So what is SSI? It's supplemental security income. The maximum monthly earned income is $1,690. So that means there's a myth that you cannot work and receive SSI. You can, but you do have your SSI reduced 50 cents on the dollar after the first $65 is exempt. In California, the maximum cash benefit in 2026 is $1,233.94. And almost $1,000 of that is from the federal government, and the rest is from California. Now, here's the big problem with SSI. You're only allowed to have $2,000 in resources. And again, that's money in your checking account, money in your savings account, stocks, bonds, Bitcoin, anything in the person's name and social security number. It's 2,000 if you're single, 3,000 if you're married. Minor children with disabilities can also qualify if the parents are very low income. The good news about SSI, you only need to be getting $1 to get what's called categorically linked Medi-Cal. What this means is your health insurance comes without any co-pays or share of costs. So that's why I really encourage everyone to apply for SSI. I know it's a pain. I know it's a lot of paperwork. I know it's a long process, but it can really be worthwhile, both for that monthly cash grant and then getting that very best type of Medicaid. And here is the URL to apply for SSI. A parent could apply, or a legal representative on behalf of the person with disabilities. So when you're applying for SSI, what resources are not counted? So you're allowed to own one house, you're allowed to own at least one car. Some people have 2 vehicles. You're allowed a small life insurance policy, a burial plot, and any household goods and personal effects. So SSI has its own unique definition of income. And I talked a little bit about that before. So there's 2 kinds of income. Unearned. That means money that comes in not from working. Anything that is not from any kind of employment. So again, that's investment income, pensions, alimony, support, rent, litigation, all these various things. So if a person gets unearned income, they will have their monthly SSI check reduced dollar for dollar after the first $20. Earned income is treated much more generously. So basically, the government has an incentive built in to encourage people with disabilities to work. So after the first $65, SSI benefits are reduced $1 for every $2 earned. And you do have to provide pay stubs. There is an online application to make it a little easier than it used to be. Okay, SSI also has this very outdated rule that's called ISM, in-kind services and maintenance. The basic idea of this is the government is saying, if somebody else is helping the person with a disability, they don't need so much money from the government. So we're going to reduce the government check by 1/3 of the federal share plus $20. So if anybody else, including your special needs trust, pays for mortgage, property taxes, rent in some cases, heating, fuel, gas, electricity, water, sewer, and garbage removal, you will have a 1/3 penalty imposed on your monthly SSI check. Now, there were a bunch of rules changed back in October 1st, 2024. Believe it or not, they used to penalize you if somebody else paid for your food. And that was a very bad policy, but that changed. Now they changed the rent subsidy to something called a business arrangement. And what that means is if someone is paying enough rent, which they defined as equal to or exceeding the current market rental value, then that's going to be okay, and you're not going to have a penalty due to the ISM. So this is really important for all those adult children over the age of 18 living at home with their parents. They must pay rent. I know it sounds crazy. Doesn't matter their level of disability. They must pay rent through their SSI check or their SSDI check. And it has to be over $351.33. So there's a couple of different ways you can set this up. You can set it up as a fair share agreement in which the person with a disability is paying their share of the household operating expenses. The other way is the rental agreement. I tend to encourage people to do the rental agreement because I think it's a little cleaner. But you have to be paying like market rate for the room. So in this second case, the rental agreement, you could even look at, Airbnb. How much is someone, or you could look at rental rates in your area. How much would someone rent out one bedroom and access to a bathroom and kitchen for? And you make that the market rate, and then you have a written rental agreement. And this holds true even if the adult child is conserved. So you might ask, what do I do if the person isn't getting SSI yet? You can set up a loan agreement. So you put in writing that the adult child with disability is going to promise to pay back parents back rent once they start getting their SSI. Okay, moving on to Medi-Cal. And remember, that's California's Medicaid health insurance program. So that pays for all kinds of health care, and doctors, hospitals, in-home caregivers, durable equipment, especially if someone has diabetes. There's a lot of new equipment, pumps, sensors, all that kind of thing. Prescription medication as long as it's on the formulary, and hospice care if that's needed. Now, right now in the state of California, you have to be low income, below that $1,600 a month in earned income. And right now, you have to be below 130,000 in assets. And that may be changing in the next few months, and I'll show you on my next slide. You can have both Medi-Cal and Medicare. You can also have private insurance, like from an employer. Medi-Cal is always going to be secondary or tertiary because Medi-Cal has the lowest reimbursement rates to providers. Now, this is the brand new slide. Just last week, Governor Newsom unveiled his new, what they call May revised budget, based on how income tax is coming into the state of California. And because the state of California is having some financial issues, Governor Newsom has proposed taking the asset limit back down to $2,000. So what that means is people who have more than $2,000 and want to keep their Medi-Cal may need to put the extra money either into a CalAble account or into a first-party special needs trust. Now, this is just a proposal. We don't know what the state legislature is going to do. The state legislature has until June 15th to approve, deny, or change this proposal. Whatever the state legislature agrees, as long as it's not vetoed by the governor, that will be implemented as of January 1st, 2027. This is a very confusing chart that shows all the different types of Medicaid. So there are many types of Medicaid. So most people with disabilities should qualify for one or more of these different types of Medicaid. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's useful to know that there are different standards and different ways to keep getting your health insurance. Okay, one more slide about Medi-Cal. In California, we have a really great program that keeps people out of institutions and nursing homes. It's called IHSS, In-Home Supportive Services. You have to first be eligible for Medi-Cal. Once you're eligible for Medi-Cal, you could contact your county Department of Social Services, that's DPSS, and ask them to come out to the home and do an assessment. And they're going to be looking at what they call ADLs, activities of daily living. And these are pretty low-level functionalities. Can the person get up out of bed by themselves? Can they go to the bathroom by themselves? Can they get dressed by themselves? Can they make themselves breakfast? Can they give themselves medicine? And based on that, each person gets so many hours a day and so many hours a month. And then you can hire your own caregiver. It can be a family member. It can also be anyone, could be a family friend, could be someone from your church or synagogue, could be someone you get from a registry. And the pay is at least whatever uh, whatever the county has set. In LA County, it's pretty close to $20 at this point. San Francisco, I think, is a little higher, but it's at least $16 an hour. Okay, and then something to be on the watch for is as of January 1st, 2027, there are new, I'm going to give my opinion here, very horrible, terrible new Medicaid work requirements coming on board. Everyone between 19 and 64 is going to have to fill out a lot of forms to either say that they're working or in school or doing volunteer work, or basically proving that they're too disabled or providing too much direct family caregiving to be in a work program, school program, or volunteer program. And supposedly, people are going to have to redetermine every 6 months. Right now, it's an annual redetermination. So basically, a lot of people are going to get kicked off of their Medicaid health insurance just because of paperwork. So this is it's a pretty horrible change. People should know that it's coming and be prepared to fill out this paperwork every 6 months and get it in on time. This chart shows how benefits change over the lifetime of someone. And this is kind of focused on clients who are regional center, that benefits change as the child turns 18 and is considered to be an adult, no matter the level of disability. Things change again when the parent retires and starts getting Social Security retirement. I do want to mention that after someone has been getting SSDI, that adult disabled child program for 24 continuous months, they will qualify for Medicare, even if they are under the age of 65. So that's a really helpful benefit to our clients. All righty. And also a reminder that people getting SSI and IHSS can also receive food stamps. Again, California calls it something different. We call it CalFresh. And the federal poverty level is a little higher for CalFresh than it is for other programs. It's 200% of federal poverty level instead of 138%, which it is for most of the other programs. Okay, I'm going to stop here before I get into the special needs trust. And do we have any questions?
We have a few. So does this, and this is like SSDI receiving it. Does this work for parents who do not get Social Security? For example, if they are in the PERS or LACERA system?
My understanding is no, because they're in a separate retirement program. But they should double check. They should double check with their own benefits department.
Would all of these Medi-Cal programs, all of the different ways you can be eligible, are they all going to go from 130K to $2,000?
No, just Medi-Cal, just Medicaid in California.
Okay, so as I understand things, my 32-year-old daughter has been receiving SSDI based on my income, but I am still working. She is not receiving her SSI monies due to an overpayment when she was a toddler. And it is still not fully repaid, but she continues to be eligible, but is just not receiving money. She has Medicaid and also my health insurance from work. She works 3 days a week, 4 hours a week, and lives in a group home. The money that we receive for her SSDI is what we use to pay her rent. Will she continue to be safe money-wise and benefit reception-wise?
I think so. And I think you should also ask for like a hardship waiver on that overpayment from the SSI money when she was a toddler. There is a hardship waiver. And again, remember when you fill out the forms, you're only filling it, you have to kind of put yourself in her shoes. You're not filling it out with the parent's income, only her income, her assets. and her expenses. But SSDI it should stay pretty safe. The only thing with the SSDI, you still have to be careful not being over earned income. But I can't tell, I don't know how much she's earning based on 3 days a week, 4 hours, but that's probably not going to go over the maximum amount allowed.
Tatiana wants to know how you make that rent agreement and who to notify about it. And then she clarified for a person with Down syndrome and diabetes type 1, there's extensive medical work, Sensor and others. Is there any help for that?
So agreement, I'll be honest, you can just go to ChatGPT and say, make me a rent agreement, with X, Y, and Z, and ChatGPT will spit one out pretty quick. And then who to notify, it would be SSI. You would take that rent agreement you would make an appointment. With the SSI field offices, you can't just show up anymore. You have to go online and make an appointment. It's actually fairly easy to make that appointment. It's kind of like the DMV appointments. And then you would show them that signed and dated rent agreement. In terms of her particular diagnoses, unfortunately, that doesn't really factor into either SSI. It does not factor into SSI or Medi-Cal, except where it would factor in is for IHSS, for the in-home supportive services program. Because someone who, is doing all that extensive work, and I know firsthand from friends and relatives how much work it is to, maintain that, you would definitely, especially as a family member providing that, you would get more hours as the IHSS provider. And then the other thing is, if she's Down syndrome, she should be regional center. So whatever you're not getting from IHSS, that's when you go to the regional center and you say, regional center, you are the payer of last resort. They like it when you give their language back to them. You are the payer of last resort. I am only getting X hours from IHSS. I need my daughter to get additional either supported living services, SLS, if they're living out of the home, or ILS, independent living services, if they're still living at home. And that should be really easy to, make a strong case around. Joy is asking about the slides. Alexandra, why don't you tell everyone again in case they missed it?
In case you missed it, yes, we will be sending out slides and a recording probably tomorrow. Angel wants to know about the other Medi-Cal programs on the slide. For example, the 250% working disabled program. Would that one change from $130 to $2,000?
Yes, all of those programs, the asset limit, if the state legislature approves the governor's proposal as is, conceivably all those other programs could be impacted. Now, the legislature might say we're going to only impact this program or that program. So we don't know all the details yet.
A little more detail from
the hardship waiver. You should just be able to Google SSI hardship waiver. If you email me later, I can find it for you. It's one of many government forms available online.
All right, that's it for questions for now.
Okay, we're gonna jump. Oh,
Megan just added the form. Thank you.
Love it. All right, I'm gonna jump back in.
Okay. We'll get back to questions later.
Now, how do you keep all those benefits? Remember, I said these benefits are all super important, but it's not enough for someone to really lead a life of high quality, a life of inclusion, all the things we want for our adult children with special needs and disabilities. So one of the main tools is something called a special needs trust. It is a legal instrument that allows a person with a disability to keep all their government benefits that we just discussed and be able to have access to money that's in the trust through a trustee. Now, of course, there are some provisos and some rules around that. So money in a special needs trust has to be used for the sole benefit of the beneficiary. What that means is once the money is in the trust, you can't pull it out. And no matter, like, grandma needs cancer treatment somewhere, sorry, you cannot pull it out and use it for grandma's cancer treatment. You can only use it for the person with the disability. A happier example is going to Disneyland, right? We're on Southern California, people want to go to Disneyland. You cannot take the entire family to Disneyland with the special needs trust. You can take the beneficiary, and if that beneficiary needs help with those activities of daily living or has behavioral challenges, you can pay for one other person, in some cases even two other people, who will provide those activities of daily living or behavioral support. But we can never, ever pay for 7 members of a family to go to Disneyland and stay in the Disneyland hotel. I'm sorry, I know that's what we all would like, but we cannot do that. That would be against the law. Also, once money is in a special needs trust, it is irrevocable. That means it cannot be moved, it cannot be broken. So that's also really important. So people should, think hard before they establish a special needs trust, make sure it's the right match and the right choice for their family. Now, on the positive side, special needs trusts let the beneficiary keep all those government benefits, plus they get, to request funds from the trustee for money that's in the trust, plus they get investment income. So on balance, it's for most people, it's going to be a good thing. Okay, there are 2 main types of special needs trust. If you don't plan ahead and you don't have a will and you don't have a family or a living trust and you pass away many, many years from now, and your adult child with disability just inherits money, just like any adult living child would, that adult child would have to put their money into a first party special needs trust, which does all the positive things we just talked about. The problem comes in when that adult child passes away and there's money left in that special needs trust. The state of California, through the Medi-Cal office in Sacramento, will present the trustee with a claim saying, we let this person have all the government benefits, let them have all this health insurance, hospitalization stays, prescription meds. But now that the person has passed, we want a claw back. We want money back. So what that means is money is not going to pass on to other family members. There's not going to be a transfer of funds to heirs. If you want money to stay in the family, parents must plan ahead. And so they need to set up the third party trust while they are alive. This cannot be done retroactively by the executor or a lawyer after a parent passes. So that's why we really are encouraging parents to set up a third party special needs trust while they are with us and competent and legally competent. That's important too. So with the third party trust, there is no Medi-Cal payback after the death of the beneficiary. So regional center families, sometimes I'll talk to regional center families and they say, my kid's going to be regional center for life. Why do, I need to go through all of this legal rigmarole? It's a pain in the butt. And the reason is regional centers cannot, by law, pay for rent. So that's or mortgages. So that's super important to know because where someone lives is probably the most important determinant of having a quality life. So it's important to understand that. In group home situations, the regional center will use the beneficiary's SSI or SSDI money for payment. In some cases, if someone is medically fragile or needs to be in what they call intermediate care facilities, ICFs, that Medi-Cal pays for those. But that's a very small segment of the total regional center population. There is a newer service available for regional centers that I encourage. parents to take advantage of called Coordinated Family Support, CFS. In your next IPP, individual program plan, I encourage you to ask for it. It is program code 076. If you are in self-determination, you can also ask for coordinated family support for what they call futures planning. There are some new services coming for regional center clients over the age of 45, but that's happening just in a few places initially throughout the state. Okay, now we're getting into the nuts and bolts. Okay, I've talked about what a special needs trust is. What the heck is a pooled special needs trust? And that is the main service that we provide here at our nonprofit. So Congress created pooled trusts known in government speak as a D4C. They were created back in 1993. What Congress recognized that wealthy people, very wealthy people, have family attorneys, they have family trustees, they can take care of their adult children with disabilities without much additional assistance. Middle class and even upper middle class families need a little more help. So these pool trusts are all run by nonprofits, and we all have a master trust, which is the governing document. It saves a lot of money on setting up a special needs trust. If you go to most trust and estate attorneys, they'll charge you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 to set up a standalone special needs trust. I'll be giving our fees in just a minute, but we are substantially below that amount. And so having this master trust agreement really saves a lot on the setup fees. And then every beneficiary comes into our master trust through something called a joinder agreement. It is a legal agreement, a legal contract. Each beneficiary has his or her or their own individual trust account, but money is pooled for investment purposes. This lets us leverage what I call the power of community and lets people have they're going to be paying lower rates for the investment manager, and they have the potential of earning higher investments because money is combined into custodial investment accounts at Charles Schwab. So the pool trust might be a good option for your family if you have kind of simple assets that could be turned into liquid assets somewhere down the line. So in other words, cash or money that can be turned into cash. So again, retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, brokerage accounts. It's not a good option if you have a lot of real estate holdings or if you have like a private family business. In that case, you're better off with a standalone trust because of the complexity of the assets. Now, for most people, the pooled special needs trust is going to be a good option because we got the lower setup fees. If you would like to use a bank or another corporate trustee to handle your child's special needs trust, there's lots of people out there who are happy to do it, but they want to see at least $1 million. And most of them are increasing that to 1.52 million. I know of one local bank that will not take on special needs trust clients unless there's actually 3 million going into the special needs trust. So our minimum is 20,000 for an active account. So we are quite substantially less than 1 million or 1.5 million. Sometimes middle-class families are advised to just have a sibling, the non-disabled sibling, to become the trustee for the sibling who has the disabilities after the parents pass away. This is not a good idea for a whole bunch of reasons. For one reason, you could end up with the sibling with special needs constantly texting or calling the other sibling, give me money for the new video game, give me money for a Corvette, give me money for X, Y, and Z, you can imagine. And it's the best practice is to hire a professional trustee. And that's what we have here at JLA Trust. I'm a licensed professional fiduciary, as is my colleague Ron Parks. So that's why with us, you're getting the same high level, it's called a fiduciary oversight that you would get at any bank or trust company. So here's what we offer. We offer an active first party trust. Again, that's if parents don't plan ahead or if somebody ends up with a legal settlement. So we have lots of clients who have been living for decades on SSI and Medi-Cal, CalFresh Section 8. All of a sudden, they get in a car accident, they're injured slightly, they get a $50,000 legal settlement from the car insurance company. Remember, they can't have more than $2,000 to keep their SSI. What are they going to do? With that $48,000 in excess, they can put it into our first party special needs trust. For parents planning ahead, we have an active third party option that has a $20,000 minimum, a $1,500 enrollment fee. And what's better for most parents is our future funded option, which is a bit of a euphemism. Of course, future funded, meaning, unfortunately, when somebody typically passes away, there could be life insurance money, there could be money from the sale of a family home, and all the other assets that I mentioned previously. So our inactive future funded option is honestly, it's the best deal around. There's a $600 enrollment fee and a $200 deposit that's going to go into our money market pooled account at Charles Schwab. The reason we ask for that deposit is to make sure in case there's any legal challenges down the road, some cousin, some stepkid, this is LA, there's all kinds of things. A child no one knew about steps forward and says, my parents didn't really intend for the money to go to my disabled sibling. How do I know they really wanted that? And we can say, oh, look, they deposited $200, 20 years ago. So that is why we have that minimum of a deposit. So once money is in the trust, what can it be used for? So the good news is a lot of things, almost anything that's legal. In general, we look at services and items that improve wellness, optimize independence, and enhance quality of life. It's very individualized, but here are some broad categories, things that most of our clients ask us for money and receive: cell phone, internet, streaming channels, clothes, specialized items, furniture, computers, tablets, personal care items, therapies that are not covered by insurance or regional center, medical and dental expenses not covered by health insurance. Unfortunately, we have a lot of clients who come to us with really terrible teeth and a lot of oral health conditions that need to be fixed pretty promptly. So we have a lot of clients the first month or two, there's like checks going out the door to dentists and other specialists, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. And oral health is super important. So that's something we definitely prioritize. Now, we also do fun things like go trips to Disneyland. If a lot of people in LA County have relatives that live out of state or in a different country, that's fine. We have a lot of clients going to visit their relatives on the East Coast, South America, Central America, Israel, wherever there's family or vacations that make sense. And as the person with disability ages, one thing we absolutely feel is a great use of trust funds is in-home help that will supplement those IHS hours or supplement the regional center SLS supported living services hours. We can also, if there's enough money, the trust funds can be used to purchase a car, even if the person isn't able to drive. But the car has to be used primarily to transport the person with a disability. And it can also be used for a living space to purchase a home, a condo, a mobile home, or an ADU. We have a partnership with a great financial services company based in San Francisco called TrueLinks Financial Services. They're the ones managing our money, and they're doing a terrific job. They're the ones who also issue this great Visa debit card. And that is the primary way that most of our clients spend their trust money is with this TrueLink. It's a restricted use prepaid Visa debit card. And each of our clients gets an individualized allowance or monthly allotment based on their individualized needs. For most of our clients, that's going to be somewhere between $200 and $800 a month, excluding rent, that individual amount can be changed. Our clients have a lot of autonomy using the card out in the community. At the same time, we can see in real time how they're spending the card. We can get alerts. There's certain categories we always close. So that's going to be things like liquor stores, gambling, escort services, a Western Union, money transfers. And then there's certain categories we almost always keep open, like groceries, pharmacy, laundromat. But again, it's a very robust technology, and we're able to make adjustments pretty much in real time for this. All right, I'm going to stop here before I get into CalAble and see what we got.
So the first question that we kind of had left over from the last section was, do you have any ideas on how to find more IHSS workers if you have hours left? And Angel did respond to that, which thank you so much. Do you have any other suggestions, Michelle?
Oh, oh, good. Yeah, so thank you, Angel, for providing the registry. That is definitely one way. I mean, I've seen people do all kinds of creative things. Posting, something like on a bulletin board at a church or synagogue. I've seen people post things like next door. I personally feel like one of the best ways is word of mouth, asking other parents. There's some Facebook groups. There's some really nice Facebook groups, adults with special needs in Los Angeles or Southern California, and parents help each other out. Sometimes finding someone that way. I know it's really scary. It's really, really scary to just like let some stranger come into your home. I mean, there is a vetting in the IHSS system. They have to go through the fingerprint system and the DOJ clearance. But I know how scary that can be. So I encourage you to seek out other people in your community, seek out other parents, and pool your knowledge.
So will the title of the trust be Will and Trust, or would it be Special Needs Will and Trust with the family name and year initiated?
So neither. So we provide one piece of the total estate plan. What we provide is just that third-party special needs trust for the family member with the lifelong disability or medical condition. Most families are still going to need what they call a living trust, a family trust, a revocable trust. Those all kind of mean the same thing. What it means is after, to put it bluntly, after people pass away, you don't want to have your heirs to have to go through the probate system in the state of California, because the probate system in California is very time consuming and very expensive. Other states, it's easier and quicker. That's not California. So California
about the $20,000 situation.
One minute, Renata, I'll get to you.
In order to get things underway, we need
Alexandra, if you could, just for a sec. Thanks. Yeah. So most of you are going to need to go see a trust and estate attorney. We have a list of great people. And you're going to need to set up a living/family/revocable trust. And you put all of your own assets, like your house, like title to your home, and you list your bank accounts and your IRAs and 401ks. And you're going to put all that into your family or living trust. And then in your trust document, you can designate, I want this asset to go to my kid's special needs trust. I want this asset to go to my non-disabled kid or kids. Because it gets complicated. It used to be, we said, don't put IRAs into a special needs trust. And then something called Secure 2.0 passed on the federal level. And now people with disabilities have a longer time to spend an inherited IRA. So it's actually a good thing to put an IRA into a special needs trust. So I do encourage everybody wants to just have a one-stop, come to us and we'll fix everything. That is not the way it works. You're going to need a team. And we are part of that team, but you also still need a trust and estate attorney. And I strongly encourage everyone to see a financial advisor as well. So you need, and sometimes some of you may also need to see an accountant or a CPA for the tax implications. So I'm sorry, it's one stop. It just really does not work for most families. Okay, keep going.
Is it worth it to have a special needs trust if my handicapped child can only inherit $100,000?
I don't know why the child can only inherit 100,000. That's with CalAble. I think you're referring to CalAble. Or maybe that's just how much money the family is going to have. Maybe that's the total assets. But yeah, 100,000 is definitely worth doing a special needs trust for. Yeah. Just because, like we just talked about, the Governor Newsom proposal, government administrations come and go and things can change. So setting the special needs trust up gives you kind of extra insurance for the future. We really don't know what's going to happen. We don't have that good of a crystal ball, but putting the money into a special needs trust, it does really put it into kind of a safe box. Some people, you might want to think of it as a tax shelter, if you're familiar with that. Okay, is there a maximum? No, there is no maximum. We welcome 1 million, 2 million. We would be thrilled. The more, the merrier. We have a will and a trust. If the language is not there, can amendment be done? Yes, you can revise your will and trust. And most trust and estate attorneys will tell you you should definitely be reviewing your documents at the very least every 10 years. Some say every 5 years. Sometimes people will name guardians, they'll name successor trustees. Those people could have passed away, they could have moved out of the country, they could have gotten ill, you could have gotten in a fight with them, all kinds of things. Things change. On a more positive side, your adult child could have gotten married, right? So all kinds of good and bad things could have changed in 5 years. So you should not think, once you have a will or a living trust, you should not think of it as frozen in time. As long as you're alive, that's why it's a living trust, you can keep revising it as long as you're living. And so you should definitely do so. And I just want to remind everyone, I am not an attorney, I am a fiduciary. So I will not give legal advice. I encourage you very, very, very strongly, go talk to a trust and estate attorney, even if they cost a lot. It's money well spent to ensure you're doing things right for the future.
Do
Okay.
properties go into special needs trusts as well as advanced health directives?
So we'd have properties that are under title to the beneficiary can go into a special needs trust. Yes, but again, it gets complicated, and that's why you need to talk to an attorney first. Advanced healthcare directives generally do not go in a special needs trust. That's going to be a separate document. But most people, you should come away from a trust and estate attorney with like a whole notebook. Part of that notebook will include the advanced health directive.
Can special needs trust funds not be used for?
So we don't let anyone purchase guns or any kind of firearms, although there could be exceptions. And they cannot be used for anything illegal. Other than that, we're pretty open. Again, it's on an individual person-centered basis.
I can show you guys on our website. We actually have an enrollment guide that we give to new clients, and this is the documents page on our website. And if you're really curious, this goes pretty deeply into what we typically allow, and what we typically don't allow, um, for various reasons. Although it's always individual.
I mean, yeah, somebody wanted high-end audio equipment, somebody wanted to go on a cruise.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had somebody who wants to take a high level, I forget, bridge class. It's all we really get to know our clients. This is not like, Bank of America.
Yeah.
We get to know the name of their pets. We get to know what kind of mattress they prefer. People, once there is at least $20,000, they are assigned to one of our staff members, and we really do develop a very highly personalized relationship. Any other questions? Alexandra, you are
Sorry. Can people on EBT CalFresh get grocery help through the Special Needs Trust?
yes. Again, we're supplementing, not so the idea with special needs trust, they're always supplementing government benefits, not supplanting.
Confused about the $20,000 situation. So in order to get things underway, we need a total of $800, $600 setup fee, and $200 deposit. Things don't begin to work for my disabled adult child until, say, for example, money from my pension when I pass away brings things up to $20,000 with a trust fund that we would set up with you, correct?
So I have my visual. Oops, it's a little weird with the background. When you set up the future funded trust, you are setting up this empty vessel, right? And then after typically someone dies, you're pouring in. Made a little mess, but you are pouring in. You're pouring in liquid assets. So yes, you got it right. That is exactly what happened. Okay. Let's go back
There's
and
one more question. Can JLA manage things if the recipient wants to move to a country with less stress and more social services?
yeah, I mean, the trust will, the money is still going to be valid and we can still disperse money. The problem is you lose your benefits. You lose your SSI and you lose your Medicaid when you permanently move to another country. So that's the issue.
All right. We're gonna jump back in, and if you have any more questions, there's one more section and we can do another Q&A at the end.
We're almost done. Hang in there. Okay. Okay. Introduction to CalAble. So CalAble is another tool. It's separate than a special needs trust. And I encourage people to have both a CalAble account and a special needs trust. My son has both, and I'll explain why in just a minute. So CalAble is part of the National ABLE Act. So as we talked about before CalAble, you could not save more than $2,000 or risk losing your SSI or your Medicaid linked SSI. Now, you can save up to whatever the IRS gift tax exemption is for that year. For 2026, it happens to be $20,000. You can go all the way to $100,000 without impacting your SSI. If someone works and is earning income, they can contribute an additional $15,650 in this calendar year. And so you see in this diagram, you can go all the way up to $529,000 and still keep your Medicaid. You can go up to $100,000 and keep your SSI. I don't know why. Okay, CalAble basics. So the disabling condition, initially it had to have been diagnosed by a medical professional before the age of 26. That has changed to age 46 just this year. Only one ABLE account per social security number. CalAble is based on 529 college savings accounts, except they are a little different, that they can be used for many more services other than post-secondary education. And the other thing about ABLE accounts is you can only have one. And with the other 529 college savings accounts, you can have more than. These are the federal rules. Don't ask me the rhyme or reason, but I'm just sharing with you what the rules are. The beneficiary is always the account owner. If the beneficiary is conserved, then the conservator will have the financial control. If the beneficiary is not conserved or under POA, then the beneficiary is going to be able to spend the money without anyone else's approval. There is no trustee involved with a CalAble account. So it can be opened by a parent if the beneficiary is a minor. It could also be opened by a conservator, power of attorney, or rep payee for Social Security payments. Accounts are asset protected, but not income protected. And you can spend it on pretty much the same kinds of things that you can spend a special needs trust. There's some benefits with using CalAble to pay for rent. But if you use a CalAble account to pay for rent, you have to be sure money coming in and money going out in the same month isn't going over any limits. So to sign up for CalAble, you can only do it online. You cannot walk into a bank or any other financial institution. It's a simple process online. You have to link it to a bank account, and you only need $25. And after the beneficiary passes away, Medi-Cal can seek recovery of the clawback that I talked about with the first party trust, but they will only do the clawback if all of these are happening. The deceased Medi-Cal member was over the age of 55. The estate exceeds the threshold for formal probate. Right now it's $184,500. The Medi-Cal person received services like nursing, SNFs, skilled nursing facilities, or home and community-based services. And there is no surviving spouse, registered domestic partner, child under 21, or disabled child. And even if worse comes to worse, you can apply for a hardship waiver against recovery. So in most cases, the state will not be able to recover or will not go after money that's in a CalAble account. So what's kind of cool is ABLE accounts and special needs trusts can work together. Like I said, there are some advantages for using the ABLE accounts to pay for rent. That's kind of changed with this new business arrangement under SSI, but happy to talk to individuals about that. The good thing about ABLE accounts, people can have direct access, that you don't have to go through a trustee and get approval to spend the funds. So what people are suggesting is that you end up using your CalAble more like a checking account, and then you use your third-party special needs trust as like a savings account, or what I like to call it, more like a retirement account, so that you're really putting away money for your adult child's older age, right? Because everyone, as we age, often end up having health issues and often end up spending more on health and in-home help, the last 5 years of life. So that's where the third-party special needs trust can come in handy. So the big picture is that a lot of our adult children are going to need all three accounts: a personal checking account for those Treasury automatic ACH payments, also work earnings if they're on the lower side, and then a CalAble account if someone is able to earn more money. It's going to benefit them to put those earnings, that earned income, into a CalAble account. And then that third-party special needs trust, again, is going to be that nest egg, that retirement fund, mostly for use in the future. and maybe being used, to pay for extraordinary expenses that just can't be covered any other way. All right, that's it. Here's our website. Alexandra is our webmaster. She's always doing a great job updating it. We try to keep it as current as possible. My email and phone number. The best way to reach me is to please email. If you call me, I may be in a meeting or not able to answer. So I encourage you, if you're trying to get a hold of me, please email. Okay, that ends the formal portion of the presentation.
Few more questions. What happens when you start to run out of money in your trust account?
Well, that's not so great. So, seriously, when people run out of money in their trust account, what ends up happening is they go back to the default, and the default is whatever the government benefits them. Now we are hoping as a pool trust to be able to have some remainders that come in from clients who pass away, and there's remainders left with us that we can use to help people pay for extraordinary medical or other necessary living expenses. But in general, when they run out of funds, they run out of funds. There's no backup.
Does your CalAble account keep you from being on various services like HUD?
No. CalAble is also exempt from most of the other government benefits. Unfortunately, Section 8 and housing vouchers and place-based housing, that's administered through the Housing and Urban Development Department, which is quite different than the Social Security Administration, and CMS, which administers Medicare and Medi-Cal. So they don't always communicate. So sometimes something can get changed in one administration and it won't get changed in the other department. But in general, having money in a CalAble account will make you exempt from other government asset and income limits.
If my daughter, who is 37, receives SSI currently and I begin to take SSI at 67, does she get additional money from my benefit?
With SSI, no.
Yes.
SSI, no. The only time you would get additional money is if you begin to take Social Security retirement, not SSI. So the Social Security Administration, there's 3 separate programs. There's Social Security retirement. People work so many quarters, they get so much money based on their lifetime of earnings. Then there's SSI. That's designed for people who have never been able to work or aren't able to work very much. Then there's Social Security disability insurance. That's designed for people who've been working and then become disabled, or what we talked about before from the parents' work record.
Daniel, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Thank you, and thank you both of you for doing this again tonight. My question was from that last slide. There was a note there that it said it wasn't advised to have a joint checking account where the SSI and SSDI come in.
Yeah.
That's what we currently have. We've always had that since he was 18. He's connected. So like my son's account is one of many accounts, my Wells Fargo account, for instance. And that's where he pays his rent from them, et cetera, and other things. And we drain that out every month. Why is it not good to have that tied to my?
Because then they'll say, if it's a joint account, Daniel, then they could look at your assets and they could look at your income.
Is it truly a joint account if it's, because this is
I don't
SSI
know
specified that we set it up.
Well, whose Social Security number's on the account?
Well, it's my account.
Then I would you need to take your Social Security number off that account.
Or open a new account for just him.
Yes.
All right, and that would entail reaching out to SSI and redirecting the funds to the new account.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a big deal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I really don't. I know a lot of parents do that, and it's really not a good idea because there's been all kinds of red flags and people have run into issues. It's really important, as much as we feel like we're kind of connected and our adult child depends on us, and believe me, I know what that's like, to really separate financially and legally to the extent you can, everything from your own social security number and your adult child social security number. It's not the same as when they were minors.
Interesting though, SSI invited that process, and then when I went to Wells Fargo, they said this is how we normally do it. They didn't recommend that we open a new separate checking account for the person receiving SSI benefit.
Well, I'm just saying we have seen people run into issues.
Thank you.
Is Cal Able suitable for a first party special needs trust? I'm not
No,
sure.
okay. Let's step back. There's two different tools on your belt, okay? One is a hammer and one is a shovel, okay? So the Cal Able, let's say, is the hammer, right? And you're using that, like I was saying, for smaller amounts, like a checking account, money in, money out, especially if someone is earning money. The shovel is a special needs trust, and you don't want the first party special needs trust. You want a third party special needs trust, because with the first party special needs trust, the government, state of California, will come knocking and ask for money to come back to the state treasury, which means that other siblings or nieces or nephews or your favorite cat or dog charity will not get the money that you wanted them to inherit. So you want both tools, and they are separate. One's the Cal Able account, like I said, it's run through actually through the California Treasurer's Office, and then the third party special needs trust. They are separate tools.
Um, will this presentation be online later? Yes, I will send it out tomorrow. If you missed it, you'll get a copy. If a relative has the intention of leaving money to my disabled child upon his death, do we need to contact him in advance to make sure that the provisions that he makes go into a third party trust? Or if the money is just issued to my disabled child without a third party trust directive, is that money um is that money somewhat lost? I'm not sure if I phrased this appropriately.
No,
You did.
I understand the question. Okay, so if you have, a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, cousin, they want to leave money directly to your adult child with special needs. It should say in their own will or their own estate plan, I want to leave money to the special needs trust for Jimmy Smith. It really needs to say special needs trust for Jimmy Smith. Now, sometimes the more conventional way money is left is grandparents leave money to their adult children, and then the parents, in other words, the parents of a child with disability. And then those adult children can then decide if they're going to put the money into a third party special needs trust. But if you have a relative who wants to do it directly, the phrasing is super important. It must go to the special needs trust, not to the person. Okay, so I think what we're trying to get across here is you're trying to keep money out of someone's name and social. It's really important, out of their social security number, because especially these days with the computer sharing data and AI, IRS is tracking money all the time. It's really hard to hide money. So don't think it'll be able to be hidden in someone else's bank account or somewhere else. So it's really important to do it legally and to do it correctly.
If someone signs up with JLA and then passes away before they use their funds, can they have a family heir, or is the trust the heir?
So I'm confused who passes away. So,
I think it's the beneficiary.
okay. So if the beneficiary passes away, we have our third party trust is very clear. We as a charity retain 10% to use for other charitable purposes. And the remainder, 90% goes to whoever is named as heirs in that joinder document. So that's what happens. I mean, if the parents pass away, that's kind of the plan. You know, the money, their assets then get placed into that empty vessel, as I can.
If the person is on SSDI and Medi-Medi, what is the asset limit to not lose their benefits?
There's no asset limit. Well, there's no asset limit for SSDI. There's no asset limit for Medicare. Right now, Medi-Cal has $130,000 limit. That's right now in California on May 20th. We'll have to see on June 16th what the asset limit is for Medi-Cal. I do not know. I mean, we only have what Governor Newsom's proposal was.
Do family trusts have protections against government benefits? Meaning, are they exempt from the asset resource limits?
No, no. So, a regular family trust, or I forget what a spendthrift trust, those are not going to protect government benefits. Only a special needs trust, or sometimes they call it a supplemental needs trust, protect you from government benefits.
Is being the payee for SSI different from the joint account situation?
Yes, it's fine to be the rep payee. If you are the designated rep payee for SSI or SSDI, that's fine to have it set up. But again, the account should, like for my son, it says, Michelle Wolf, rep payee for Daniel Wolf. So it's and my son's social security number is on that account, not mine. So it says rep payee right on that account. It's not a regular joint bank account.
If a client has an IRA, like a Roth IRA, could that IRA be transferred into a special needs trust?
Yes, it can be under the new Secure 2.0 rules. Yes. And like I said, there are advantages because other people who get an inherited IRA, you only have 10 years to spend it down. But people with disabilities have their entire lifetime. They get the stretch provision.
Does JLA Trust manage first party special needs trusts?
Yes, we manage pooled first party special needs trusts.
Yes.
Now, some of you might be asking about standalone trusts. Like I said, especially if you have complex assets, particularly real estate holdings or business holdings. So we are starting to take them on a limited case by case basis. But we're not really discussing this today, is really focusing on our main service, which is pooled special needs trusts.
That's it. That's just a thank you. Oh, wait. Our bank accounts are in the trusts. When I open our child's checking account, do we keep it in the trust too, or is it separate?
Okay, so I think what you're saying, Wendy, is your bank account is in your family trust, right? So it says
So,
whatever the family trust. You should open a separate bank account. Could be at the same bank. Don't have it in the family trust. Because remember, you're trying to segregate out the money that's going to go to that disabled child and separate it out from the other family assets. So I know that was a lot. This will be recorded. This was recorded. Not going to be able to do this again for a few months because of I have got some of my own family medical issues, but happy to set up follow-up times to talk to people. Any other final thoughts or questions? double checking if I contact my bank to update my daughter's account, which I'm currently. You should be, the question is about being able to access and move money around. Yes, you should be able to do all those things.
There's one other question above that about if I don't have a third party for a special needs trust. So is this you are setting up your own first party special needs trust? Can the trustee for the irrevocable trust serve also as a trustee for a special needs trust? I'm
That's a question for the lawyer.
yeah.
That sounds like a legal question.
All right. Thank you so
Okay.
much, everybody.
Good night. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Alexandra.
Bye.